You know what I love? Sunsets. Who doesn't love them? And if you don't love them, you're probably a bad person. You know what else I love? The Source Engine. And if you don't like it, guess what? You're probably also a bad person. So Valve's Source Engine is definitely getting up there in the years. It's now over 20 years old since it first debuted in 2004. But despite its age and obvious limitations compared to today's super duper graphics, the Source Engine still manages to look pretty good, and I've always loved how the Source Engine presents and renders certain kinds of scenes, like sunsets. So in this video, I want to just hop around a couple Source Engine games and really take a closer look at some of the pretty sunsets that are in these games, because stepping away from all the shooting and all the explosions and stuff, and just taking in the environment, taking a second to smell the roses, it's fun, and it's something that I also recommend you do. So without further ado, let's take a look at some sunsets in some Source Engine games. Now to start this off, we're going to go to Half-Life 2. This was the game that really inspired me to want to make this video in the first place. I recently replayed it on my Steam Deck, and it really made me remember just how good this game really looks some 20 years later. So this is right at the end of Water Hazard. This is the area where you fight the Combine helicopter that's been chasing you for most of the level. And after you shoot it down, you get some downtime to just explore the area and try to figure out where to go next. And more importantly, you get some time to take in this amazing sunset right here. Now, one of the best parts about any sunset is just the way that it changes the color of the sky, because you get all kinds of shades of purples and pinks and oranges and dark blue, and this sunset in this level really captures that. I particularly love the clouds in the skybox. They really do just look so good, and they look accurate to real life also, because I've seen this kind of thing in real life, you know, where the light bleeds through a cloud and turns it into this bright orange, sometimes pink color. And trust me, if you see this kind of thing in person, it will change your life. And on top of all of those things, you also get to see the sky and the sunset reflecting off of the water, which really helps to elevate the whole scene. Valve gets to flex their 2004 water reflection technology, and I get to make a YouTube video about it 20 years later, gushing over it. One of the reasons why a lot of Source Engine games still look pretty good today is the whole lighting system they got going on here. I love all the white parts of the map environment turning into like a bright yellow from the sunset, like on these rocks here, and on the concrete. Really the whole color grading of the scene, it just feels very warm and very inviting. It's got good vibes going on. I don't know what to tell you. Now one last thing, I know it's a very small thing in the grand scheme. It's not exclusive to Half-Life 2 either, but I just want to shout it out. The way the light bounces off of the guns in your hand, it's always something that I love looking at. Like I said, it's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but these small details do add up and help to really make a scene immersive and really make a game feel real, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. Next game we're going to look at here is Team Fortress 2. Now, a lot of maps in TF2 take place in this kind of mid-evening setting where the sun is starting to go down, but there's still plenty of daylight left to go out and do stuff. A lot of TF2's most iconic maps take place in this setting, and most of these came out before the game went free to play. These are maps like Dust Bowl, Badwater Basin, Well, Gold Rush, Harvest, all great looking maps, and all play well within TF2's whole aesthetic, and also all have some pretty good looking sunsets and skyboxes. But my personal favorite of these kind of maps is easily Badlands. Now, unlike Half-Life 2, TF2's artistic direction isn't tied to reality or trying to look realistic, so things like textures and lighting are given the space to look simpler and less detailed, and to have more striking colors. It's what makes the game so fun and unique from a visual standpoint, and Badlands is a great example of that aesthetic at work. That brings us to this sunset right here. It's obviously not as crazy detailed or colorful as the one in Half-Life 2, but it does still look great with the style of the map. You'll notice there's really not much in terms of warm tones on this one. It's all a lot of light shades of pinks and purples, which is fine. There's already a lot of warm tones on the map anyway, a lot of dark browns and oranges and like reds, so it provides a nice contrast with the rest of the environment. I do particularly love the clouds with this sunset. I like the pink outlines, how there's a mix of full clouds with these like smaller wispy ones. It all looks very nice. The blue sky kind of breaking through the clouds and fading as it gets closer to the sun, that's also a nice detail. More than anything, it just blends very well with the aesthetic of the map. The cooler, softer colors of the sky and the sun provides a good contrast with the warm, saturated colors of the general environment. More importantly, it's never really distracting or anything like that. Like, there's no crazy bloom on it like with a lot of Source Engine sunsets, so you're not going to get blinded by this crazy sun when you're in the middle of a chaotic choke point push, but it does look very pretty when you actually take the time to slow down and take it in. The last game I wanted to look at for this video is Fistful of Frags. This is a free Western multiplayer Source Engine shooter that started life as a mod before getting its own release on Steam. And I do remember playing this a decent amount in the mid-2010s. It's a good time if you can find a server with a good amount of people to play, which is increasingly less common nowadays, unfortunately. Now, the map we're on here is FOF Robert Lee. And this is a map I remember playing on a lot back in the day. I think this is one of the first maps available when the game got released on Steam. But more importantly, you take a walk out here, and you see this absolutely insane looking sunset. Now, this is not an official Valve game or anything like that, so I did not expect Fistful of Frags to have a sunset this crazy. Like, this scene right here is beautiful. Look at these clouds, look at that gradient over there, look at the way it reflects off of the water. This is just textbook, awesome sunset stuff going on over here. Does it look a little primitive by today's standards? Sure. But I also think that adds to the appeal. This game was made and is still updated by mostly one person with no affiliation with Valve or any other big company. And it's done in an engine from 2004. So all this, it really just rocks, I won't lie. I don't really have any aesthetic analysis for this sunset or anything like that. I just really wanted to shout out this one, because I think this really illustrates what I love about the old Source Engine aesthetic. It just feels really cozy. I don't really know how else to put it. Well, that's gonna be it for this video. I wish I could better describe why I love the way Source Engine games look so much. They just have good vibes going on, and it's a visual style that I just never really get sick of. Like, even in the face of all of these new big boy AAA games with super duper 4K graphics and 200 gigabyte install sizes, there is a part of me that wishes that some games still look like this, you know? Now, I would love to do some more videos like this in the future with other games, or maybe even more Source Engine games. So if you got this far into the video, make sure you drop a like, maybe even subscribe if you're feeling generous. This is my first real YouTube video in this kind of vein, so I appreciate any and all support. So with that said, hey, thanks for watching.